In this video, I'm going to show how I replace my old worn out aluminum window screen with nice new fiberglass screening. The only things I really need for this job are some new screening, and in this case I'm just using sort of standard mesh fiberglass screening, although there's tons of options out there that you can choose from. So if you're going to try doing this yourself, make sure you do the research and get the screen that's right for your application. Now the only real specialty tool I need for this is this screen roller, and I'll leave a link below in case you want to take a look at a couple of options for these as well. Now you can see the way my tool is set up is it has two wheels with sort of a tapered and kind of flat side, and then this wheel on this side has sort of a channeled groove in it. And you'll see how these individual wheels come into play later in the video. And the only other things I needed for this job were a razor knife and a pair of scissors. On the floor of my shed, I've screwed down some scrap pieces of plywood to make myself a template to hold my screen so that it stays nice and square as I'm working with it. Over here you can see that the rubber piping has already started to come out of the frame, so I'll use that to my advantage and start pulling this out. Now before I do, I'm actually going to cut this right at the corners, and you'll see why as I do the reassembly. Now I'll find a spot where I can grab the screen and get it out of the frame. To minimize the amount of cutting that I'm going to have to do later, I've lined up this edge with the edge of the screen over here. Now I would have lined up the top edge too, but this wasn't cut square. It's off a little bit, so I've made sure I've got a little bit of extra up here at the top. Now my piping is in good condition, so I'm just going to reuse what I have. Now as you saw from the original screen, this was kind of all done in one piece. It's just a little easier to do it in 4 separate pieces, which is why I cut it at the corners. I'll get the piping started by pushing it into the groove, and then I'll use this screen roller tool to push it the rest of the way in. Now that it's started, I'll just work my way up the side of the screen, and as you can see, as I go along, it pulls in the little bit of extra that's over here into the groove, and then puts tension on the middle. When I get up towards the top corner, you can see I actually have a little bit of extra piping, so I'll just cut that back, and then squeeze the rest in with the tool. Now I'm going to pull the screen tight towards the other side and start in this opposite corner with the other piece of piping. I'll get that started in the groove by hand and then bring the roller tool in and seat it the rest of the way. Now one thing to note about the tool is that one of the roller wheels sort of has a groove in it and the other one is sort of flatter on the end. The one that has the groove in it is just a little bit easier because it sort of helps grab that piping and guide it into the channel. Now I'll start at this opposite corner, and you can see there's sort of a wrinkle starting in there. So as I go along, I'll pull the screen tight. Now I'll grab my last piece of piping at the bottom of the screen and put this one in. Now to trim off the excess, I'm going to grab a nice sharp razor knife and cut along sort of the outer edge of the window frame. I want to make sure that I don't cut in here, otherwise I'm going to have to start over. I'll pull this out of the way and then trim the other edges. So that's all there is to it. Now I've got a nice new window screen with no rips or tears, as opposed to this old one that is full of holes and was letting the bugs in. At a fraction of the cost that it would have been to have somebody fix this old one for me. That's it. Thanks for watching.